Welcome to Motorboat's Monthly's Practical section, brought to you by Garmin. Today we're going to be looking at antifouling a boat. This boat is here at Ancaster's commissioning agent, Hamble Yacht Services, and the work's going to be done by the guys at Marine Valeting Services. The first thing to do is to put some old clothes on, or a set of overalls, and some gloves, and a hat to stop you getting paint in your hair, some goggles to protect your eyes, and if you're sanding down old antifouling, you'll need a face mask as well. It's a kit you're going to need for this job. Obviously you're going to need to start with some paint, probably a bigger tin than this. You're going to need something to stir it with. You can use a stick, but I prefer to use one of these, an electric drill attachment. Make sure you get a good proper mix of the paint. A tray to put the paint in. A roller, nice long one like that, so you can get right underneath the hole without putting your back out. Obviously you're going to need some masking tape to mask up. You may need some sandpaper to sand the hull or the old antifouling down. Screwdriver to get the lid off the paint, you're going to need one of those. Probably going to need a couple of different size paint brushes just to cut in around some of the trickier bits that the roller can't reach. And lastly, maybe something like some white spirit and some old rags, just in case you have an accident. Go over your masking tape you need to clean up. Okay, so the first job we need to do is to mask up the waterline. Now on a previously painted boat, obviously you'll have your waterline to work to. But on a new boat like this, you're either going to need to take measurements from the manufacturer or from another boat the same, or the manufacturer sometimes gives you marks to go to.
We use a 3M product, low tack. When you take the tape off, you don't leave any glue residue. It's also really good for going around corners, so you can bend without it snapping.
As well as the waterline, there's a few other things you're going to need to mask up. If you've got anodes, you're going to need to mask those up. You don't want to get any paint on the anodes. Trim tab rams, outlets, anything like that, put some masking tape over them. And obviously if you've got out drives, you're going to need to leave a 1-inch gap all the way around the out drive to make sure you don't get any paint on the aluminium drives. So the guys here are sanding this hull down. It's a brand new boat. The sanding process gets rid of any releasing agents left from the manufacturing process, and it also gives the paint something to grip hold of. They're doing it mixture of manually and by machine, and they recommend about a 180 grit paper for this.
So after sanding, you're left with a dusty residue, which needs to be removed prior to painting. We use a degreaser for this.
Guys have sanded and cleaned this hull. They're ready to primer it. Obviously if this was a pre-painted boat and it was all sanded and ready to go, obviously you don't need a primer coat unless you've got two incompatible paints, and then you do need to put a primer coat on to act as a barrier between the two. And here we've got an old coat that's been prepared, ready for painting. It's been sanded down to make it nice and smooth, and there's been areas here where the old paint has come off and we're back to fiberglass, and that's just been touched up with a bit of primer ready to receive the new coat.
A critical bit of painting is the waterline. Be very careful not to go in over the tape.
Once the primer coat is fully dry, you can move on to the first coat of antifoul. Now when it comes to knowing how much paint to buy, most of the paint manufacturers have on their website a guide. You put in the size of your boat and it'll tell you how much paint you need to give it good coverage. Now the key is to buy the right amount of paint and to use it all. If you have got a little bit left, the best thing to do is to use it up on the high wear areas, such as around the bow, on the keel, the chines and the waterline.
Obviously with all paints they need to be stirred. Not only is there a thick residue on the bottom of the tin, there's also a thin oily residue on the top, which has to be stirred in thoroughly. It's always important to make sure you get even coverage on the roller in the tray before you put it onto the hull.
So this is the cutting in bit, the bits that you can't get to with a roller. Just nice and thin. If you have to, you can always apply 2 coats.
In coating times, you should always check the labels on the tins. All paints have different drying times due to the temperature.
Here we are applying the second coat. It's no different to the first coat. Keep it nice and even, not too thick, not too thin, to achieve a nice finish.
Once you finish the second coat and before the paint is fully dry, you can remove the masking tape to leave a nice, clean, crisp edge. That's it, job's done. It's just these small areas where the chocks are, but these can be touched in when the boat is lifted. It's just held in the slings for a few minutes while you paint those in. I hope you found that useful. Thanks for watching.